welcome to Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and this is Tweaking Your Endgame Starship Part 6. We're re-recording because of sound issues in the previous version. So, if you look at my ship, you'll notice if you paid attention to Part 5, I'm not changing any gear. My gear is exactly the same. Okay, I still have this one last regular tactical console here. Alright, but what I did change, if we look at stations, I did change up some skills from the last one. I did mention I was going to look at putting in some temporal operative skills. So I have done that. I put in recursive sharing 3. Lovely, lovely skill. I've been playing with that one for about a week before I did this recording. And entropic redistribution, again another lovely skill. Does some decent damage, especially for its level. But you'll notice here's the big one that I've changed, and that's my tactical skills. Now you notice I've put in 2 copies of chemosite laced weaponry, but I only have a single copy of fire at will and attack pattern beta. You're going, wait a minute, she always said double up on those. You're right, I did. So I said either double up on them or have a way to cool them down to where you can get global. Alright, so the way I'm cooling mine down, because I want to reliably do it, I don't want to rely on reciprocity, because reciprocity means I have to be pulling threat, and I don't want to have to pull threat. I've already gotten into threat nullifiers, which means I'm trying to drop threat. So I don't want to have to change these to where I'm pulling threat. I also don't want to have to worry anymore about my survivability in this case. So I don't want to have to use plus threat consoles or pull threat to reliably use reciprocity. So I'm using duty officers. They're a bit more reliable if you're not trying to pull threat or not doing a threat tank. So the first 2 I'm using, I have 2 copies of it, ZMOC Genro. ZMOC cools down your attack patterns, beta, delta, and omega by 15%. 2 copies of ZMOC will cool an attack pattern beta down to its global cooldown. Okay. Then I have, of course, my tried and true con officer. Oh, yikes, somebody's trying to troll me here. Con officer to reduce the recharge time for tactical team. So that is reduced by 8 seconds, which is almost down to global. And then my last one is an energy weapons officer who reduces chance to reduce the time to recharge when using any beam special attacks other than subsystem targeting. Okay, to recharge after use, and this gives me a 50% chance. So right now I have 2 of these officers, okay, and they reduce the remaining recharge time by 10 seconds. So this pretty reliably gets down to global. Again, I've been playing with this setup for about a week, testing it out, and I am able to maintain my normal numbers for fire at will attacks versus non-fire at will attacks. So this is working fairly well. Okay, so that is how I'm cooling them off to get them to global. Now I will be honest, this is a very, very easy, expensive setup. So it's not for everybody. It is going to cost if you wanted to do that, which is why a lot of people don't do it. But I am able to afford it, so that is how I have done this. So this is not a cheap setup. It is not a budget build by any stretch of the imagination. Alright, so now the other things I've done, we'll look at traits. Again, a couple more under the hood changes. So last time I had unlocked my 5th Starship trait. So this time I've unlocked my 5th Space Reputation trait. Okay, so like before we had Precision, Advanced Targeting Systems, What else? Auxiliary power configuration offense. So this gives me a bit more offensive ability or damage and accuracy based on my auxiliary power level. And tactical advantage. So this gives me when my targets get below 50% or less in space, it gives me a 15 damage resistance rating debuff. Okay, which is doesn't seem like much, but it is very good. And then we have energy refrequencer is my 5th trait. This is a defensive trait. What it does is, now I've known for a while this build was pulling 80 to 100k, 80 to 90k. So, oh, dog's munching his breakfast. So, what this is doing is based on the amount of energy weapons or the amount of damage my energy weapons are putting out. This gives me 2.5% of my outgoing damage as a hull heal, and it triggers up to 10 times per second. So this actually is quite a good heal, and it's constant as long as you're using energy weapons. If you're a psi-based ship, you're not going to see as much out of it. If you're a torp boat, you're not going to see as much out of it. But an energy weapon boat, which we are, which this is going to see quite a bit out of this if it's doing a lot of damage. Okay, so I chose Energy Refrequencer. Gives me a bit more survivability because I did trade some of my survivability traits for those temporal operative skills. Alright, so the other under the hood change that I made, I did reach in my reputation Tier 5 Nukara, Tier 5 Romulan Rep. Okay, so what I did was now when you get your Tier 5, those appear in your active reputation. Okay, so I have here, these are the only 2 space ones I have so far. So Quantum Singularity Manipulation, that's from the Romulan. This gives plus 100 to science stats for 8 seconds. After 3 seconds, cloaks your ship for 5 seconds. During this time, you may fire your weapons normally. Okay, so this is really good, especially if you are a science boat, because it does increase your psi stats for 8 seconds. Now, if you want a really strong gravity well, pop that off first and then hit your gravity well. It's going to make it pull like the dickens, and it's going to give it some extra damage. Okay. Now, the other one that I have here is Refracting Tetrion Cascade. So you'll notice, now here's a word of warning. If the target's sensors are scrambled or otherwise confused, when it is hit with the Tetrion Cascade, the charge may bounce back to you or your allies. So what this does, you shoot it off. They have to be within 3 kilometers of your deflector dish. So within 3 kilometers of you. You shoot it, and it does a good amount of Tetrion damage. Then it bounces to up to 2 foes within 5 kilometers of your target. And then it bounces up to 2 foes within 5 kilometers of them. And so this can bounce and bounce and bounce. Very, very nice ability. Absolutely love it. Works best when they are close together, when your targets are all lumped up. So a good way to use this, pop off your Quantum Singularity Manipulation, throw out your Gravity Well, and then throw out your Refracting Tetrion Cascade. Now here's another little tip. This can trigger your plasma explosions from the embassy. Okay? Or at least they used to. Yep, there it is. So you'll notice it does have right under the 3rd thing. So this does trigger your tactical advantage. It does trigger your plasma explosions. And it does trigger... Yep, looks like it does trigger Plasmonic Leech as well. Okay, so it triggers quite a bit of things. Alright, and chemosite laced weaponry. Okay, so it does trigger quite a few things, and that's one of the things that makes it so good. Okay, so it triggers everything, every modifier that we've got. Now, if you have Tetrion based weapons and you're boosting them with Tetrion consoles, it will scale with that damage. So yet another good thing about refracting Tetrion Cascade. But basically, so again, if you want to get the most out of it, best thing to do, quantum singularity manipulation, hit your gravity well, group everything up, and then hit your Tetrion Cascade. It'll bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce to everything around. Okay? So, lovely, lovely skill. So I've put this on my active reputation. And that is a summary of the changes that I've made. Now, as of this recording, this version of the build has broken 100k in a pre-made match. Okay, so working on getting it up there in a pug, we're getting close. Or I'm getting close. Alright, so this has been a Teacher's Corner tweaking your end game ship, part 6. Join me next time.